So, welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures that Outperform. I'm Frank Wander, and I'm here with my amazing co host, Terry Mays. Last week, we were talking about things leaders should stop doing. And today, we're taking it a little bit differently. This is when leaders set bad examples. So, there are a lot of things leaders do, but one of the worst is setting a bad example. And so today we're going to talk about that. I think this is very important because we know that people don't do what leaders say, they do what they do. So the question for you is, what kind of example are you setting? So we're going to talk about a few things that are the bad examples leaders should stop setting. And Tara, I think I'll just kick it off with these leaders who have no respect for other people's time. Everybody's time is valuable, but they may be the one that actually says, hey, look, I need to get everybody together right now. Zero respect for anybody's calendar. And we get their times, things come up, you just got to take people. It's, an emergency or something. But there are people who just feel they have the right to just ignore your calendar and the fact that you've got all this stuff scheduled and call you together. That is a terrible example. You got to respect other people's time. You
Yeah.
do.
And not just drop things on people all the time. This is not to say that there aren't times where, it really is kind of an all hands on deck situation where you need people to kind of stop what they're focusing on because it really is truly an emergency. That's one thing. But the other thing, when we just continue to disrespect people's time and make them feel like what they're working on is not important, that
Mhm.
what I need is more important, then that really sends the wrong signal. It just
Yeah.
does not show respect for the individual person at all. And so you have to really be careful about that to make sure that you let people know that they are valued, they are important. We talk about this a lot and
Yep.
we sound like a broken record, but it is absolutely true. It is just a fact that when you continue to show respect to people and you treat them honorably, you honor and value their time,
Mhm.
those things matter. It's not just the little
Really matter.
insignificant thing that doesn't make a difference. It really does make a difference.
Really makes a difference. So let's continue down this vein. The leaders who don't believe there's such a thing as work-life balance, don't get why it's important, don't understand how it helps improve the culture. They're the leaders who may very well be sending you emails at 2 in the morning, constantly expecting you to respond, or the leaders that never take a vacation, set a bad example for the organization. You should be promoting a healthy culture. People are stressed out. They should have work life balance. You shouldn't be the one setting the example that we don't do that here. Those are really bad things to do.
Yeah,
I think
working
what
while you're sick, that's another one that's just not a good idea. You really do wanna show people that it's okay to take time off and to be human.
yeah,
Everybody has a time where they're not feeling the greatest. It should be okay to take some time off during that period. You don't want people working, feeling like they have to work while they're sick, they have to be there all the time, that they're never able to take a day
yeah,
off. Those are just bad behaviors that really
really,
don't.
really bad behaviors.
A lot of
Really
times
bad.
people feel like they're building their career because they're showing that they're available and that they're supportive, they're a team player. But really, as a leader, you want to squash that behavior of never taking a day off, never having a life event happen, because
Horrible.
it is not the kind of leader that you want to have in your organization because we are human. We are
Yeah,
not robots as much
not
as we
a
like to
machine.
think that we are and that we can go on forever and that we don't have to take time off. It is just not the case. There are going to be times when life happens and you need to take a break, and that's okay. People
Yeah.
need to feel comfortable in knowing that that's okay.
Knowing it's okay. Another very bad behavior or bad example that leaders set is interrupting. If you've ever worked for an interrupter, they disrupt meetings. They bring up stuff, they interrupt people, and you want to have a culture where basically people are invited to share what they have to share, where people respect other people's opportunity to share what they're sharing. So you don't want to be the interrupter saying in a culture like this it's okay to interrupt people. Highly disruptive, not productive, makes people feel that what they have to say isn't important. And so you don't want to be the person being the interrupter. That is a really bad example. And you don't want to be that person. Don't set that bad example.
Yeah, and it's disrespectful.
And it's
When you
disrespectful. Yeah.
cut people off and you don't let them finish their thought, you know, and it irks me so badly when that happens because I'm one of those deep thinker people and I talk slow. I'm from Alabama, so I talk
Yeah.
slow and it takes me a while to kind of process what I'm saying and I'm thinking at
Yep.
the same time. And so sometimes it may take me a little bit longer to get to the point. And when people cut me off and they stop my train of thought, it just drives me bananas
Oh,
because it really shows that you don't really want to hear what the other person has to say. You don't really care about
it's
what they
terrible.
think. You just want to get to the point, and there's a time and a place for get to the point, land the plane, Terry, stop
Yeah.
circling. There can be a little bit of rambling in that where you do want to cut that out. But if a
Yeah.
person is truly trying to make a point and they're taking their time to methodically answer the question or share their opinion about something, don't interrupt that train of thought. Don't cut
Terrible.
them off and make them feel like they're taking too long. Get to the point already. Your body language can say that even if your mouth is not saying that. So you have to
Yeah.
be careful about that too as a leader. What is your face saying? My face, I don't have a poker face at all. So usually my face is saying exactly what I'm thinking. And I have to tell myself to fix your face, Terry, while
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
thinking and while you're in a
Yeah.
conversation. But, you have to be mindful of that, is the whole point. Your body language will betray you when you are trying your best to agree or not show any kind of response. Your body language will tell on you all the time, and especially if you are interrupting people and stopping them from making the point that they're trying to make. It just really is a disrespectful behavior.
Yeah, it's terrible. Here's another thing that I think is a terrible example to set: the leaders who don't check their bad moods at the door, the leaders that never smile. We know mood is contagious, and we know
Absolutely.
mood is half of organizational energy. And humans pick up relational energy, they pick up energy from one another. So the leaders that aren't smiling are actually sending a message to others that, hey, look, it's okay to be unhappy here. I'm not sure that's the message, but smile is contagious. You're basically sending a message that you don't have to smile. And anybody who is smiling is creating a higher energy, more positive vibe in the organization. It's really important to do that. And I think it's a shame that leaders don't understand that and don't realize they're actually setting a bad example that lowers productivity and organizational energy when they do that.
Yes. Nobody wants to be around a sourpuss. And so if
No.
you're frowning or you've got a bad attitude all the time, especially as a leader, you don't want that for your organization because it is contagious. And people start to just either they separate from you and they don't want to be around you, they deal with you as little as possible, or they join you in that bad mood space. And
Yeah.
now you've got a whole team of people that are just snippy with everybody. They're short. They
Oh,
always have a problem with something. They are frustrated and angry, and they spew that all over everybody else that has to deal with them. So, as a leader, you're setting the pace and the tone and the vibe for the organization. You want to be careful to make sure that you're setting some upbeat, positive tone for the organization. Now, I know that there are some people that are not like me that, I can be more sunshine in a bottle, glass
yeah.
half full all the time. That's just kind of my natural demeanor,
Mhm.
is to lean towards the happy place. Everybody does not have
Yep.
that sunny
Not
disposition.
everybody's that lucky. You're absolutely right.
Not everybody is that lucky,
Yeah.
but that doesn't give you a license to rain on everybody's parade every day. So you
Yeah.
don't want to be that person. Nobody says that you have to be sunshiny all the time. Every day you're just a ray of sunshine. That's probably not realistic either. I have my bad days just like everybody else. But you don't want to just spew all over people all the time. And I keep saying that because that's how it feels. It feels like just, this
Mhm.
vomit just
Okay.
coming all over everybody. And you're just like, oh, I don't want any parts of it. And I'm trying my best to get away from that person as quickly as possible. I'm doing just the bare minimums of interaction with that type of person. I'm going to do what I need to do, and then I'm moving on as quickly as possible because I just truly don't like being in that situation where everything is negative, it's a downer, it's a
Horrible.
drag, and it just brings you down.
It does. It does. Leaders have to be very aware of the things they're doing that are negative or cast a negative shadow on the organization, bring the mood down. Another one that comes to mind that I think is horrible, and I've witnessed it in organizations, is where a leader will have the in crowd, a
Mhm.
very obvious group of their favorites where,
Yeah.
when everybody was in the office, they might all go out together and make it very obvious that they're the in crowd and you're not. And, I've seen it play out in organizations, and that is a terrible example to set. They've got to be inclusive.
Yeah.
They got to make
There's
sure they're not
nothing
disenfranchising people.
exactly. There's nothing worse than leaving people feeling like they're on the outside, especially when
Yeah,
it comes to assignments, bonuses, raises. When people feel like they're on the outskirts and they're just getting whatever is left over, that is a bad, bad place to be.
that's
You
a
don't
bad
want people
place to
feeling
be.
like that because, these days people will just go straight to HR. Like there's no cutting around it. They'll just go straight to HR, and then now you've got to explain behaviors that may have been pure and innocent behaviors. You may not have really had an in crowd, or maybe it wasn't what it appeared to be, but now you're caught up in some scandal that you wouldn't have had to be in if you didn't show favoritism to people in that way. So you just have to be careful what you're doing. That's not to say that you won't bond and connect with people, or, some people versus other people on the team. It's not to say that you won't
Yeah,
connect more with others. That's just human nature. We tend to connect more with people that are like us. But you do have to take that extra step when you're the leader to make sure that you're connecting with that person that's not
yep,
like you, to make sure that that
100%.
person feels just as comfortable and welcomed on the team, that they feel like they can be their authentic self, even if they don't have a whole lot in common with you, if they don't share and like
Yeah,
the same things, they still feel like they can be who they really are when they're on the team and that they're accepted. That's
agreed.
what has to happen.
It has to happen. And, there's so many ways leaders can actually make people feel like they're on the outside. Favorites is one, being uninclusive or not inviting people to certain meetings where they should be there because they have a lot to contribute. I'm not talking about wasting people's time and inviting everybody. That's horrible. That's another bad behavior. Let's get everybody together for every decision, the beehive model. I've been in
Mhm.
places like that. What a waste of time. Anyway, another thing is preaching accountability and then being unaccountable as a leader, saying, I'll get that to you. I owe you that. I'll have it to you on Tuesday, but not delivering. But expecting other people to be accountable. If you want people to be accountable, you have to set that example and be absolutely 100% accountable, honor your commitments, deliver on time. And if something does come up, make sure you let them know that this has come up. I promise to get it to you. I'm letting you know that something has changed, but I'm going to get it to you at this time instead. That's what
Yeah,
matters.
you've gotta keep your word. Bottom line, you've gotta keep your
Bottom
word.
line.
If you if something happens, and things happen all the time, something may come up where you can't do what you said you were gonna do, you still have to own it. You still
Mhm.
have to take responsibility, and you absolutely must communicate. There is nothing worse than having an agreement with somebody that they're gonna provide X information or they're going to do XYZ, and they don't do it.
Yep.
And now you're scrambling trying to figure out how you're gonna get that thing done. It is
Crazy, right?
very frustrating when you feel like you cannot rely on your team. That is a hard place to be when you feel like you have to do your job and everybody else is around you because you can't count on them. That's not a team. That is
It's
not a
not,
team at
it's
all.
not a
That
team.
is absolutely not a productive team.
No.
So you really do want to watch out for that and make sure that when you make a commitment that you keep it. That's just it has to be one of the core values of your team and your organization that, we just don't make commitments and then not keep them. We have
Yeah.
to keep them.
Yeah. You have to keep them. I mean, there's just no question about it. And that always troubled me, when you saw people in the organization at a high level make commitments and just not treated with the respect it should have been. And that
Right.
was always bad. Um, when you think of other things, that leaders, do that I think are really, really bad. Um, I just had one come to mind. God, what was I going to say? Um, what was that? Boy, I don't know. I'm forgetting exactly. I had a good one and I forgot about it. So, oh, I know what it was. The leaders who they want something to go a certain way. So they'll call everybody together and they'll say, hey, look, we've got to solve this issue. Let me tell you what I think the right solution is. And they lead off with a solution instead of leaving it open for people to contribute and force everybody into the position of having to disagree with the boss.
Mm,
And it's a petty tactic, and I've seen it played out. And I think that's a terrible example. If you're going to really invite people to share their ideas, you're the senior person, you got to listen to everybody. You can't try to railroad the result. And you see people, it's part of the games they play.
yeah. It's another one of those disrespectful behaviors that communicates, I'm more important than you.
That's
I
right.
Nobody likes to be in a room with a smart aleck. Like, it's
Mm-mm.
just the most frustrating thing ever. You wanna not be that person that's always pushing your agenda over everybody else's, that it has to be your way or the highway, because
Yeah.
these days, people will take the highway. They will just leave because
Oh,
they don't wanna
that
deal with
pays
that
big.
kind of behavior.
There's a
Yeah,
multi-lane highway out there. There is a shortage of good talent. People can leave, they have
absolutely.
options. So you got to be very careful about this stuff. So I think we leave you with this. What kind of example are you setting? Everything you do, you're leading by example, good or bad. And I think you really have to think about what they are. Next week, we're going to be talking about really good tools and tactics you can use that are underutilized. And so it's the opposite side of this equation. It's things you probably should do more frequently that you're not doing, perhaps. And so you should tune in next week for that show. We're here every Wednesday, 3 o'clock. We're live, but of course, most people watch after the fact. You can always follow us at peopleproductive.com. And if you want to follow up on all the prior episodes on the YouTube channel, and you can always reach out. We haven't mentioned this recently, Tara, to coach at
Yeah,
peopleproductive.com. You want to talk to us, you have an idea, you want to follow up with something, please feel free to reach out to us, coach at peopleproductive.com. We love hearing from people. And we'll see you next